Hi, I'm Melissa Cobb. Come fly with AOPA. This week, a restored Fairchild PT-19 World War II trainer, the latest in AOPA's advocacy efforts, and an up-close look at an eVTOL.
AOPA keeps flying safe, accessible, and fun by protecting your freedom to fly. We are the most trusted one-stop resource for all things related to general aviation. Become an AOPA pilot today.
Bay Aviation in Virginia offers scenic flight opportunities and flight training in a restored Fairchild PT-19 World War II trainer. Here's a look at the aircraft.
Training in historical airplanes, first off, it's a lot of fun. It was the first modern primary trainer that the new cadets would fly for the US Army Air Corps. It's an all wooden airframe. The wings are even wood covered, only the fuselage is fabric with steel tubing. So sitting outside, as cheap airplanes tend to do, it didn't do them very well for longevity. And basically by the 1960s, the whole country was littered with decrepit and rotted away PT-19s. And only in the 70s, people started to restore those. And as of this year, they are about less than 100, so 98 are flyable worldwide. It was their first monowing trainer. They finally realized, why are we still training our cadets through the primary program in biplane? Well, the landing gear, being a primary trainer, it had to be two things: sturdy and forgiving. The forgiving aspect comes from a very, very wide stance, and it comes, that's, just the width. So if students touch down crooked, and there's an old factory 8mm film that they showed to the cadets. You see a guy literally, the factory test pilot of course, literally landing crooked on grass. It was grass, it wasn't concrete, but so she just slid around and did a gentle ground loop, and that was it. The other reason why the gear is forgiving, you have gear travel from the normal sitting ground position. Between that and when she is hanging actually in the air with the gear extended, it's like this much. So that makes it easy for practically anybody to do a really nice soft touchdown, which was a requirement because back then there was a war on. They had to train as many people in the shortest possible time. And I mentioned already the rod control system, which makes for really light, pleasant controls. And of course, it has more longevity built in than wires, which stretch, and pulleys that can also wear out and so on. So yeah, we have various ways how you can fly in this airplane, either just a regular ride here in our beautiful Western Chesapeake Bay side landscape, or you can do a basic training flight, just we talk a little about it and you get the controls when we fly around, or you can get a full checkout in this airplane. Especially interesting to people that bought one or have access to one. I just have one of those guys coming next week. So yeah, it's a great airplane and a very beautiful landscape to fly here.
If you're interested in a flight opportunity, we'll drop a link to Bay Aviation down in the description below. And be on the lookout. We're going to be dropping an upcoming video about what it's like to train in that aircraft. Well, a tornado destroyed part of the general aviation section of Epley Field in Omaha, Nebraska last week. Thankfully, there were no injuries. The airport was closed for about an hour when the tornado was going through, but after that has been open and operational since, while the cleanup has been ongoing. However, there were restrictions to the GA part of the airport. So 4 hangars that housed 32 aircraft were completely destroyed in that tornado. In AOPA advocacy news, the AOPA National Celebration of General Aviation flyover is just a week away. So on May 11th, about 60 aircraft are going to fly over Washington, D.C. and up the National Mall. It's to celebrate general aviation and to honor AOPA's 85th anniversary. About 20 states have already issued proclamations celebrating general aviation and the flyover. AOPA Vice President of Airports and State Advocacy Mike Gender is one of the driving forces behind this flyover. He shares with us the importance of general aviation to the nation as a whole and the importance of this flyover.
So we're doing this flyover to celebrate 85 years of what general aviation has contributed to this country. And it's the things that pilots intuitively understand. We get it, but we're hoping to put general aviation on display for the whole country so they understand that there's 200,000+ airplanes owned by individuals, and there's 5,100 public use airports at which these aircraft are performing community service and charitable flying and firefighting and disaster assistance and all manner of services, business and pleasure, and flight training to boot. And we think it's important to tell the story of general aviation in the form of this flyover so that our fellow citizens understand what we know, which is how safe general aviation is and how impressive it is that we're flying 26 million flights and 30 million flight hours a year with the best accident record in history this year. So it's a good news story. We hope everybody enjoys the flyover.
You can watch the flyover live right here on our YouTube channel. We'll be streaming it, and retired AOPA Editor-in-Chief Tom Haynes and aviation journalist Miles O'Brien will be providing commentary throughout the flyover. The Transportation Security Administration has issued a final rule for the Flight Training Security Program. Now that stems from the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. The terrorists had used general aviation aircraft for their training. Now, AOPA has represented general aviation and worked with various federal government agencies for several years to help balance the nation's need for security with the freedom to fly. Well, you can get more information about all of these advocacy initiatives on AOPA's website. We'll drop links to all these articles in the description below. And finally, this week, we bring you an up-close look at Lift Aircraft's electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that can also be flown as a drone.
What is this? It is a good question that we get a lot. Manned drone is a thing that I like to use mostly because it describes it, but it's also, what is a manned drone? Can a drone be manned? But technically this is an electric vertical takeoff and landing, an eVTOL, aircraft. It falls into the ultralight classification, so this is compliant with Part 103, and it is essentially a gigantic drone that you can sit in and pilot from on board. So it is all electric, 18 independent motors. Each one is powered by its own battery, 3 flight computers, so it's a triply redundant flight control system. And right now we're getting around 8 to 10 minutes of flight time with a passenger on board, Obviously this can actually be flown as a drone as well, so we can do that. In that 8 to 10 minutes, you're looking at traveling right now in our beginner mode. So this is what most people are coming to and flying with us right now, is about 5 miles an hour, We keep you in a pretty tight area. The aircraft is capable of doing a lot more than that, but we haven't flown it all the way out to the edge of its envelope yet. In order to make ultralight weight, this is made almost entirely out of carbon fiber and 3D printed titanium. All sorts of really interesting stuff goes into making this thing compliant with ultralight. This aircraft weighs, with its batteries on, which you don't see here right now, 464 pounds. That's less than a motorcycle. One of my favorite things to do when I'm flying is to show off what it's capable of. And for me, to the average person, it simply means taking my hands off of the controls. Because if you do that, you can wave to the crowd, give them the two-handed wave, and the aircraft just holds a hover for you. So it's autonomous in hover holding. Even when the wind comes along, it will hold position for you with hands off. So I love to wave to the crowd doing that during a demonstration. Automatic takeoff and landing, again, you can press a button and wave at the crowd. So that's always my favorite thing to do. When I'm flying around just for fun, some maneuvers that are really complicated to execute in a helicopter become really simple to do because of the flight controls on board this. So doing backwards rotating flight, things like that, it's really fun to demonstrate those and just really highlights the uniqueness of the aircraft. So that's one of my favorite flight maneuvers. Basically anybody could just jump in and fly this. Under ultralight regulations, of course, you don't need a pilot's license. But what happens at Lift Aircraft is You sign up, you book at our website, liftaircraft.com. You can buy tickets to fly in Austin today. When you come to our location, you have 30 minutes of classroom training where we inform you about ultralight regulations, what you're getting into, okay? We teach you how the aircraft operates, what you need to know to operate the aircraft. Then we put you in a VR simulation. So you put on some VR goggles and you practice what you're about to do. So you're gonna execute a sequence of maneuvers under direction of an instructor who's on the ground. And then if you go through all those maneuvers, you get some free play, okay? So you get time to play by yourself. So that's what a flight experience with Lift Aircraft looks like. It was built to serve this market, this recreational market that exists because of the ultralight regulations that exist today, okay? For future, we're hoping that the regulations will continue to evolve to allow for these kind of aircraft to serve as transportation modes, okay? Under this unlicensed program. So right now, you can go and get a Lime scooter in a downtown area and move from point A to point B, no license required. That's what we want this future to be like for this aircraft. So some things lie ahead of us in terms of like performance and things like that the aircraft needs to be able to achieve, but also a lot of regulatory stuff.
So what do you think? Is that a flight experience that you want to take? Let us know in the comments below. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Fly with AOPA. And just a reminder that next week, May 10th, is our last regular weekly show. The next show is going to be during EAA AirVenture, so AOPA will be hosting Fly with AOPA at large aviation events and on special occasions. But we're going to continue producing high-interest content, regularly putting it out on our YouTube channel. One of the cool new series that's coming up is AOPA Presents, and it's a documentary series that you're absolutely going to love. So be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all our latest videos. And you can also go to AOPA's website and subscribe to the AOPA video newsletter. We'll deliver all AOPA's videos to you every Saturday morning, so you can keep that Saturday morning coffee tradition with aviation videos. We'll explain how to sign up for that newsletter if you don't already get it down in the description below. This week, we leave you with some footage of the general aviation aircraft that are going to be participating in the flyover. If you aren't already an AOPA pilot, we'd love for you to join us. Just click on the link at the end of this video to learn more about our trial membership. We'll see you next week.